pulling in that old style of defensive heavy, because as we get onto this pitch, Monkey's in the orange, Endpoint CEX in the blue. Endpoint have been very heavily aggressive so far in this tournament, and so you need to work those counter strats. Monkeys could do that maybe, Jay.
Ball up inside that box to kick things off over in the Monkeys' offensive, down the center line, onto the box. Tarass will take that high, and it will be taken away by Ixo all the same. From the corner, bounce out inside that box. Metane's going to try and take agency of his own right. Ball back over to the orange half of the field. Punishable by Relating Wave, but he's got a lot of players to deal with. Demos in, right in front of the net, and Joessi gets the opening goal.
Absolutely love it. Relating Wave has been the one key factor of Endpoint throughout the entirety of this one. A real MVP. And there, not only the push downfield, but the demo to create the open net. Take a bow.
That's one hell of a way to start things off for Endpoint. Obviously the favourites in this series, therefore would need to get things off on the momentum swing. And far into the orange half, they're going to be struggling a little bit against the defensive. Monkeys have managed to maintain that much of control. The basics are not going to work out so easily here for Endpoint. A couple of awkward balls and missed touches there for the Monkeys' offensive. They're going to get returned over to the center line, back into the orange half here. Ixo wrapping over against Relating Wave, going to beat him, set up Metane on the backboard. Second touch! Oh, it goes in as well! Monkeys to respond.
A Tiger in attack here, Ixo with a nice set, but the double touch from Metane to drop it across. Absolutely a beautiful play from him. Monkeys stepping up to the challenge.
Well, Endpoint not going to have it so easy as they would have wanted it to. They're going to continue their pressure plays, though. 3 players caught on the left-hand post, almost triple committed to that defensive, but not to be in the end. Ball back on from Relating Wave is going to be denied by Metane. As Endpoint continue the pressure, continue to shoot off the backboard, inside and close to the net. Unable to get the goals in for the moment here. Pressure still applying against the Monkey side. They have struggled a little bit. It's over the Relating Wave to receive that pass. Go for the redirect, denied by the defensive line.
Interesting one so far. In the defense, you gotta let it breathe. Naturally, Monkeys gonna be cautious, but then they know when to explode. Good idea with passes downfield. Not gonna connect this time, but you can see just from their natural strats that every single time they go into attack, Jay, they're just so much more dangerous right now.
Indeed they are. Ball centered off inside that box. Follow-up pushes from Endpoint do not amount to an attacking force in the midfield, is where they will maintain control. Virtuoso with a limited amount of boost will test from the corner, forced back in by the Monkey side as they go back downfield here. Dribbles up, Bonbon right off the crossbar! The save from the player up off the backboard, just kept away from Endpoint there. Not going to concede that lead, still stuck in stalemate for the moment. But right there for the Monkeys side, got within inches of scoring the lead here.
Yeah, and big shout to Relating Wave there, to be able to drive the ball downfield to get it out and away, and he's still got this going as it makes its way to the center. Tar's going to be able to get the clearance, and Endpoint finally picking up on what Monkeys are doing with their maneuverability about the pitch, but they've got to turn it into a goal. Hits like that, Mets was not on the same page, and it's only cost them as right now. That's a beautiful opportunity. Good stuff from Relating Wave, who, like we said, has definitely been the MVP, to shut that out and really see the Monkeys go.
He's not able to get that goal in, though. Set up for the cross, he couldn't find all of it. The defensive and Monkeys holding suit. Tarass going to try and continue the play. Relating Wave wraps back over, looks for a second chance, but Ixo takes it away from him and challenges Virtuoso. Metane can take ball presence and try flick back in against Metza. Unfortunately, a bit too far away from the ball. Taz has got to come up and give the defensive a run for its money. Not able to do so, though. It's returned to the midfield. Virtuoso and Relating Wave on the chase. Back on. Second touch from Relating Wave doesn't come through. Taz against Tarass beating one. Not quite the second. That return could work well for Taz, actually. Triple in a challenge from Relating Wave. This ball's going to get dangerously close. but not able to strike back. Endpoint just tee it away, disrupt that ball's path, 60 seconds to the clock.
Impressive defense there and a counter-attack coming out from Tarass. Here's one lad that if you're stuck in a 1v1 scenario, last man back, you want it to be Tarass in net because he is probably one of the finest goalies there are in Rocket League. Monkeys, really, really impressive so far here. And Endpoint as well, Jay. We have to say, they have not continued to slouch. They have turned it up to 11 as well. And it's great to see in this do-or-die scenario.
Pinch attempt there for the Monkeys almost went on. It's denied by 2 defensive plays. Virtuoso bumped out. Ixo will go back on target, taking over a latent wave. Virtuoso in the midfield can receive this, just punch it in, but unable to secure it against Metain. 10 seconds left to the clock, looking like an overtime maybe on the cards for game 1 here. The Monkeys backed up centre line, good shot from Metzinaris going off the crossbar, and Ixo keeping it on the floor for our OT, confirming it at this stage here. Bacon, 1-1 for game 1. If that doesn't set the pace, I don't know what does.
Oh yeah, definitely in Metza. What are you doing here, lad? Good hit away from Tars. And a nice little interference play up in the air by Metain. Endpoint, this style change, instead of looking so grouped together, looking for long passes, basically big powerful hits, they're really taking it to the Monkeys, and they're looking good whilst doing it.
Taz up, trying to beat out Virtuoso, takes it underneath him. Metzinaris comes forward with a pinch off the sideboard into the corner board now. Metain coming out of field, going to leave it back for Relating Wave now. He beats out 2, got Virtuoso to bump the last player out. Flick up, sets up a teammate, doesn't go for the shot, and that gives enough breathing room for Monkeys to rotate back, playing off the floor crease, off the ceiling crease, I should say. Relating Wave coming in from the center, gets that 2-1 victory on the board for Endpoint.
Metza, the MVP of yesterday, probably setting up the MVP of today so far. What a pass that was into the middle, and Relating Wave definitely on the same page, is able to pick up on it and do it justice. Endpoint being able to weather the storm, that was the Monkeys. And it's so interesting, Jay, when we saw them earlier on against Solari, they were a shadow of this current team.
No, I mean, you're right, to be honest. I feel like that this, you know, this is a very different sort of team being brought to the fold right now. Like, it's night and day, the difference right here. Endpoint able to edge out that victory off the basis of, I think, a lot of very good setups. I'm kind of curious, actually. Like, I'm kind of surprised that Metzinaris got awarded the MVP award there. I know that it comes down to in-game score. But for me, I feel like Relating Way was the guy that had the most impact in that game. Like, you know, when it came to his setups, his dribble plays, of course, he got himself a nice goal in there of his own right. You know, one of the 2 that was scored by Endpoint. He looked really, really good for me.
Yeah, Metza got that purely off the back of his defensive work, his defensive capabilities, and driving the ball downfield. You look at that in a very interesting light here, and demolitions are going to be what I point out with both Free from Relating Wave, whose demos were a little bit quieter, I think. They were very much off camera compared to Virtuoso's. But it just comes down to Metza is the one that starts, Relating Wave and Virtuoso, and then creates a path downfield, which he can then drag it down, get it set on up, and then he falls back into his 3rd-man role. Endpoint right now have really, really gone away during this break, during this last hour and a half, during these last 2 series, and thought about what they need to do to step up their game, and it's showing.
Blistering fast pace coming in off the kickoff here for Endpoint here in game 2. Virtuoso off the backboard gets that Relating Wave for a shot, actually beaten out by Taz in this one. Passive touches, not able to make it work so well. Pass in field, or blocked off by Ixo there. Virtuoso not getting away with that one. Metzinaris will go back on double commit. He can still adjust forward. This is a bit too far forward of the ball, so Virtuoso got to take that one high. Try and set up his teammate, dunk down. Chance denied by Taz next up. The Monkeys being pressured here in their backline. Finally, a return comes forward. Good touch from Metain, but Taz can't follow it up, so Relating Wave will hold the defense, and Endpoint keep us at stalemate.
Yeah, that defense coming out from Tarass is incredible. The link up will maintain the confidence and the trust in his teammate to get downfield. And this, again, the link up. These 2 lads have been a duo for as long as I can remember. And this right here is why.
Beautiful chemistry on show there to read where that ball was going off the basis of the touch, and communication was on point for the opening goal for the Monkeys this time, just past the 1st-minute marker as well. Oh, look at Metza though, that shot almost going below the crossbar, just hitting that crossbar in this case. Miss from Virtuoso though, not going to quite look as confident in the midfield control. You think so?
Yeah, incredible stuff. He knew a teammate was behind, knew that his opponent was going to go for the block, so if he just leaves it, and knows, of course, that he can, he's got the lad behind him, that it's just going to trickle down to the ground. They pulled out one attacker, meaning there's only going to be one lad in midfield, probably one back in defense, and they can try and drive down on it. It didn't work as they wanted, but this is a completely different level of communication coming out from Endpoint.
Virtuoso challenging Taz, and Taz will put that back down to the corner play. Metenčuks going to leave that ball once again. Metane's going to beat him, and Virtuoso challenge relating wave successfully. Second player coming in is Ixo. He can't quite find the shot that he needs. Taz will still put it back over towards Ixo though, challenged again by the defensive side. Relating wave will get it back to Metenčuks, and they'll chase back downfield here. Still no goals coming in for Endpoint though. They are returned back to their defensive half quite frequently by the Monkeys. Taz goes up off the backboard. Ixo going to look for his dunk down opportunity. Virtuoso here to receive the dunk right back on target, taken away by Metane into the mid-center. Metenčuks challenging again onto Metane. 40 points of boost can still make this whole dribble play work. He's denied by the defensive Taz to come in with a recovery play, but unable to find his shot. So Endpoint just barely keeping alive, but certainly the field dominance has shifted to the favor of their opposition.
Yeah, the Monkeys have realized now as well that they can't just take the ball right up into the opponent's goal and try and get the delivery right in the box. They need to take their shots from further away. We're talking about the 30% mark into their opponent's half, because they need to pull out those defenders. Endpoint are so clutch. If they're not in net, how are they going to save this?
Big commitments you could see there on the mini-map there from Endpoint. Couldn't rotate back in time, and that one challenge is really what won them the goal, I should say. Almost the game, 2 minutes to go, and they are 2-0 up. Endpoint. Oh, look at Metane, look at Metane! Oh, lovely, absolutely lovely.
Simple as that, shut up and appreciate.
For the Monkey side. And, well, what a contrast to that first game. You know, like how good Endpoint were playing. They looked like they were going to bring that blistering pace into control. But no, not to be. The returns to the Monkeys have kept them at quite the lead here, and it continues to get worse and worse. Endpoint need to find a way to break through and find themselves a goal, but look at the responses in the midfield control. Ixo challenging, it's going to be Virtuoso to take it over, and a chance here for... Oh, the redirect from Metza! All right then, Endpoint has skills of their own. They're going to pay the bills for the first goal.
What a swipe at the ball. Such a skinny touch, Jay, to be able to get that redirect up and over the defender. Metza just playing on a whole nother level.
2 more goals to make up. He needs to stand up and do more of that if he wants a chance. He wants to give Endpoint their chance here in this game. 1:30 to go. Virtuoso and Taz off the corner play. Taz going to contest, challenge relating way backboard into the next player up here, Metenčuks. Passing off to Virtuoso, a bit awkward positioning. He doesn't connect on the ball. Instead gets back towards relating wave. Taz intercepts. Metenčuks takes it up high. Beats 1, not 2 or 3. Metane gets that clear out. Relating wave will put it back in towards Virtuoso. Challenged by Metane now at the midfield line. Monkeys re-aggressing back onto the blue target. Metenčuks there to defend against it, but the pressure can be set up once again.
And indeed, you can see his game is slowed down just a little bit. It's locked into the blue half, and that's all by Monkey's design. They've seen what Metza can do with that breakaway, and they are very respectful of it. A little miss from Virtuoso is an odd one. The attack won't come to fruition. Big throwaway right there by Tars. But Monkeys, they're just going to look to wear down this clock, Jay.
Oh, how about just score the 4th? I mean, you said they're going to wear down the clock, but apparently they're not happy with the 2-goal lead. Going to make it 3 instead. Metane to intercept the setup from Ixo, get involved in the defensive. And this probably does spell the end of this game here for Monkeys to equalize against Endpoint in this series. Metane passing out towards Eek, so again he's going to take that close, a bit high and left of the board, but a big miss off the backboard of his own right, ball sent directly in front of the net. Metenčuks has got to take that away. I can see a world in which he put that in by accident, but regardless of what he does here, there's nothing that Endpoint can do to stop the inevitable. It might be able to delay it, but 6 seconds to the clock, it's not going to happen from here. Game on the board for the Monkeys, contesting in the first, but just outright outperforming Endpoint in the second.
I think Endpoint right here are thinking themselves lucky that they're able to take game one, because game two, they didn't have a hope in hell of being able to contest the Monkeys here in Jay. You have to think back all the way to DreamHack Leipzig, back during the Echo Zulu days for these Monkey lads. Tarass and Metenčuks there, that's where they really first made their name on the international stage, and they dropped off after it. Many a player in the bubble scene would have broken up that squad and just gone their separate ways. But no, these two kept grinding. They kept working at it, and they're finally getting back into the fold, making it to RLRS last season, and now to a stage like this. This is perseverance, this is passion, and this is really what I love about the Monkeys. A team that are do or die. They stick together through thick and thin, and you can see that it pays off.
And it feels like as well for these guys, this has been a culmination of so much sort of effort behind them. They've chopped and changed different players. They've tried out new styles of play. It feels like EXO really was the missing piece for this roster, you know, like for the Monkeys, they've really come into their own in the last couple of days. Obviously, slow starts, and you know, against Endpoint in that first round, you would have thought that the result could have repeated itself right here in this one, but no, not to be. This is actually a really good setup here from the Monkeys that could very well, I mean, it's already denied the sweep here, but it could very well take the take the victory away from Endpoint and throw up another big sort of upset defeat and elimination here in this bracket.
Yeah, it really could. I mean, they've already taken down the Giants. What's to stop them here taking Endpoint? I would love, personally, just for the story of Monkeys take down Endpoint and then going on to take Top Blokes, just because of the story there. But realistically right now, Top Blokes, I think the wake-up call against Singularity will make them stronger in that lower finals. Here though, Endpoint need to wake up, because that first game was they had a lot of dominance. In the second game, where they just were not able to get control of the game, they felt weak. They need to find a way to be able to break down their opponents and pull out those sort of like old counter strats that they used to have and really turn things around.
Absolutely. You know, I feel like they have all the elements there. Like in game one, it looked relatively confident there, but just the return, I don't think they were expecting that level of a return there from the Monkey side. Like you'd have thought they would have been within a goal, maybe two at best. But, you know, that 4-1 is going to be devastating to the mentality of Endpoint. So, you know, I'm hoping that they don't get too ruffled up about it, and I hope they don't get too upset about their current situation here. I mean, it's nothing massive for them at the moment.
Oh yeah.
You know, only a game lost, but you know, just the fact that it was so one-sided and the fact that they felt like they lost all levels of agency in that matchup could potentially rock them a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, this is something that maybe there needs to be a little bit of a change up, because I'm looking right now at the stats, going back over it again. Similar number of shots from both sides. I feel like it just comes down to Endpoint. They're not making good of those chances. There's a lot of throwing the ball towards the back net to see a defender move. Their demos, there was 3 of them in total throughout that entire game. Now, to me, that's not a good number for Endpoint anyway, because they're built around demos, and we didn't see many of those, you know, darting across net demo attempts. And I feel like they need to pick that up, make their shots a bit easier. We know Metso is absolutely popping off, and Relay and Wave on a similar point. But Virtuoso, if you're not feeling that hot, be a nuisance and go and try and, you know, just disrupt your opponents, because I feel like that could be where Monkeys could fall back, purely because, again, they don't have that experience against these top-end teams week in, week out, like how Endpoint, you know, RLCS last season. So they might not be able to come up with a counter to that very demo-heavy meta where they're just continuously not able to pull off what they want.
I mean, for Endpoint, you know, they do have the experience, and they need to turn this victory over their way. I think it's just a case of on the day form. And you talk about Virtuoso not being, you know, if he's not feeling hot today. I mean, for me, like him feeling hot is him going up to the front field and getting all the demos. You know, like so
yeah,
if he's not feeling, you know, that's where he seems to shine the most. And we talk a lot about, we saw a lot of the stats there on screen, you know, and previously seeing what they've been able to achieve in the previous matches. You know, his sort of like boost consumption is so massive because he's constantly chasing for those demos, and I feel like right now they're not quite coming through for him here.
Yeah, and he's not even getting bumps. That's the big problem as well, because whilst we talk about demos, it's really just the fact of moving a player out the way to create an opening. So we move on now into game number 3. Virtuoso is going to be the player that I keep my eye on, because if he is just using that massive amount of boost, like he is consistently the highest on the pitch, he's got to change something in his gameplay style to just give a second option to his teammates.
Game 3 getting started. It's Endpoint over in the offensive half. Taz, control out from that corner. We'll take it away alongside Ixo to receive off the corner board. Metza off the ceiling, passing out towards Virtuoso. Metain almost send it back to his own net. Defended by the defensive here at the Monkey side in the end, regardless of who got that touch in. Relating Wave, got 2 players to beat. Tad's going to contest. Up now for Ixo, passing out towards Metain once again off the backboard. Second touch for a redirect. He could not connect it this time. Goes out wide to the left-hand side. Metenaris now to try and receive, but even his touches are looking a bit awkward. Bouncing centre from Ixo, turned away by Virtuoso. And a minute into this game, the Monkeys have certainly had themselves the pressure. Oh! What a big shot from Virtuoso, forcing an own goal and forcing a burst from Endpoint.
I don't know what to say, Jay. Monkeys at the start, that pressure which they're putting on was so weak. It wasn't going to result in anything. You look at the boost and you can get an idea that Endpoint were not worried. It's a response. I like that. Not the goal. The goal was a kickoff goal. But I'm just saying that both teams now have to work for it, because I don't even want to think about this first 30 seconds.
Well, mistakes on both ends of the field. I'll try and put the first minute behind them at this moment. Yeah. Metza and Virtuoso alongside Relating Wave into the corner on the orange half of the field, putting it directly in front of the net here for Wave, but unable to make it happen for the shot. And again, big commitments from Endpoint. We saw a lot of this in their series a little bit earlier on today. The defensive not able to hold up. Monkeys trying to exploit that and get down to the other end of the field, just continue to apply the pressure, eventually taking the Endpoint players for a ride. Taz and Metain off the sideboard. Second touch leaves that outside of the box to the left. Virtuoso bounce out. Big miss from Taz. Might actually end up working better for the Endpoint side. Relating Wave 2 touches, getting it right there, setting up Metenaris for his goal and getting a second lead regained by Endpoint.
Okay, to me that is officially the first goal of the game, so at least it's a good goal coming on through. What a jump in from Metza onto Metain. Metain couldn't do anything. You know, trying to focus on the ball, probably got ball cam definitely on that scenario, so coming out of a blind spot, and realistically, you've got no control there, very little boost as well. So it's just Metza jumping in, making hay while the sun shines. Beautiful stuff.
Metain flick up, leaving it for a teammate, taken away by Relating Wave in this one. Metenaris up and over. Virtuoso going to chase downfield, but Metain should be able to respond off the backboard. Relating Wave high. Close, but not able to get a shot in. The back and forth touches from Monkeys and Endpoint will ensue. And Taz and Metain, good block off from Virtuoso. The shot will be denied. And Ixo will come forward here from the corner, beating out one. Can't quite beat the second. Tried to bump Relating Wave on the way back out position. The ball back in off the backboard, setting it up for Metenaris. No one's inside that net. Big forward commitment from the Monkeys, and that will lead to a 2-goal lead.
Nice play here as well. Relating Wave making his opponent, Metain, think that he's going for the net. Takes it right up to the last second, and then turns it. So it goes into the wall. Metza is free in the middle, unchecked. And so he can just pop that away. Endpoint playing mind games and setting up in duos to effectively pincer their opponents.
2 goals of the 3 scored by Metenaris so far in this one, so certainly earning his stripes when it comes to that MVP award. As Virtuoso blocks that off at the midfield line. Metain will contest, and Metanara is there to block it all the same. It's chased down from Relating Wave. Not a lot of boost for him. Going quite far with it, beating out Tans, putting that ball off the backboard in towards Virtuoso. Next up, off to the corner play, and they're going to try and contest from this corner. Good touch in for Metza, will keep it over in the orange half, but you can't do much with it here. They're just going to touch and go once again. A couple of opportunities presenting themselves to the backboard, but the second and third player is a bit too far back here for Endpoint. It's not too much of a worry. There's still 2 goals in the lead, and eventually they find that third one as well. 4-1 on the board for Endpoint, looking real confident here in Game 3.
It's coming down to all this width in their game as well from Endpoint, which means that the Monkeys in defense have to play so far apart. The Monkeys can take a very heavy barrage style on net where they're close up, where they don't have to use a lot of boost. When it comes down to scenarios like that, they question themselves, they double commit like we just saw. And so Endpoint have found the biggest weakness in Monkeys defense, and quite often to a lot, the only weakness that Monkeys have in defense. Now it all comes down to Monkeys to be able to realize that, try and just hold this ball away for their dear life, and over the next minute and 10 seconds, somehow find 3 goals.
And time's ticking for the Monkeys. We've seen several comebacks over the course of the community takeover from worse scorelines, so I wonder if this will be one of those. Minute to go to the clock. Virtuoso, loads of control here despite not having many touches on the ball. Metanara is there, passed into the shot, and that's going to extend that lead for Endpoint. 5-1, and the confidence just brimming from this blue half.
Clap your hands together, wash them clean of this game, because Monkeys are done. 4 goals down. No hope for them to come back, quite frankly. I know 50 seconds still up on the clock, but Jay, for me, if you're Monkeys right now, you got to be thinking, that's fine, we're still in this series, what can we do to beat Endpoint in the long run? This is not a battle, it is a war. And so, Monkeys look at it, try all these different angles, all these different forms of attack, to see where Endpoint are weakest. Ixo making a save there though? Question.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much. I think realistically speaking, Monkeys have checked out of this game, and as you mentioned, the main focus is going to end up being the next one, because we're on for Brazil. 19 seconds.
Brazil as well, if it happens.
Well, I mean, the meme dream.
Yeah,
you never
do
know.
it for the memes. Come on, guys.
I mean, personally, I'm hoping for 101 Dalmatians, so, you know, like, that's my thing. I mean, I don't think Endpoint are going to score 5 on the trot in 15 seconds, so, you know, as good as they might be, I think the Monkeys hold a bit more dignity than even that, but 10 seconds to the clock, and the ball to hit the floor in a moment's time to secure themselves a game here. And again, the main thing, as you mentioned, is for Monkeys not to get too hung up on this game, to look...
Oh, he's got it!
On the buzzer beater!
That is a Brazil well worth.
And well, if the mentality wasn't wrecked by this point, it's certainly got to look to another... Just back to the point we're making. Don't get demoralized from that, because there's at least another game in this one. At least one more game for them to try and turn it around. 2 if they want to get the mini reverse sweep, as I like to call it. It's a stunner of a goal, but in the end, Endpoint were going to win that one anyway.
Yeah, you knew it was probably going to be on the cards from 4-1, Jay. 5-1, I said it, it's done. Those next 2 goals didn't really matter, but you still love it. If you're going to do the Brazil, do it in style, and Virtuoso definitely did that. Beautiful stuff, but one thing to note, very even stats, like when you're looking at stuff like ball possession, field domination, boost consumption, it's just Monkeys being very inefficient with their movement around the pitch, their boost usage, definitely, and then also at the same time, not connecting with each other. Their comms, I don't know what happened during that game, but they were not linking up, were they?
No, I have to agree. Like, I just feel like there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough of the synergy that we kind of need from a Rocket League team to be able to compete at this level. And you know, that's going to hurt them going forward. Again, they just have to make sure they maintain the mentality game. Because we saw how they were able to respond from game 1. In game 2, they came back. They had probably an even more confident game than Endpoint. So if they have another even more confident game here than Endpoint going into our 4th game of the day, or the series, I should say, then we might see a bit more coming out from Monkeys. But they have to make it work right here, right now. Ball already going off the Monkeys' backboard as we start things off in the kickoff. Ixo and Taz on the defense. They're trying to find their way out to the midfield. Metenčuks going to get involved in that one. Taz already rotating back to the net, so it's going to be left for Virtuoso to take control right in front. Challenges one, sets up a teammate. Oh, a bit too slow from Metza, so Ixo will block it. Relating Wave and Virtuoso back above the backboard. Going to make sure that they just keep that ball as far away from the Monkeys as they possibly can. It's going to work out well for a counter. Return still, good shot from Taz, not to be allowed by Relating Wave.
Yeah, but I'm still looking at the Monkeys right now, and each one of their hits are not passes. They are just purely touch the ball, get it moving downfield, and we'll think of what to do next afterwards. You've got to think 2-3 steps ahead. There's got to be a plan. There's got to be strats, and right now, Monkeys don't look to have that. It's just purposely try and rush it and hope.
The hope is not going to be good enough, but it will get them close. Relating Wave there with a demo on Taz, and Tarass now running out of boost, who has Virtuoso in the center line to receive it. Does fall back in the end as Metain now has control, beating out none. It's Relating Wave touching on the defensive line, now makes his way back in against the likes of Ixo. Good challenge on the man, but Virtuoso a bit too far back, so they can return, keep this going. Metain with a great dribble up, and Virtuoso coming in from the back line ensures that he doesn't go much further than the final third of the field. It's Metza, Relating Wave, pump and shove, and goal for Endpoint.
Beautiful little play. This is what we thought they'd be bringing out earlier, but now here it is. Relating Wave with the setup on a silver platter for Metza, and then just goes in for the bump to add even more insult to injury. Beautiful set piece from Endpoint.
3 minutes to the clock. Time is a ticking. There's only a single goal separating. There's plenty of time for Endpoint to be equalized against. Monkeys have to find their way forward. But so far, Endpoint are looking real good here off the start. Challenge against Metain in the center. Relating Wave gonna push out towards that corner play, and still control with 100 boost picked up, setting it up for Metenčuks. So the backboard, Virtuoso with a dunk down. Chance! Metain barely gets it away. But Metenčuks puts in close. Relating Wave with a demo! Oh no, it's saved by Ixo, but he's the last man in net. And Virtuoso still smells blood in the water. 2-0 for the Endpoint side.
Yeah, hit after hit. This was a beatdown on the goal of the Monkeys. It's going to be final nail in the coffin. 2-0 up right here for Endpoint. Monkeys have got to be quick on their feet now as we're reaching the halfway mark, Jay. 2-0 down. They've got to get a goal. It's got to be now, but it's kept away. Metza doing his team justice.
Now the attack can begin from Endpoint. They're up in that orange half. Challenge from Taz will put it off to the corner. Virtuoso up with boost. Relating Wave here to receive it. Metain's going to get to the ball instead. Relating Wave still a good shot off the backboard. Sets it perfectly up for Virtuoso. And now it just continues. Getting better and better for the Endpoint side. 3-0 on the board.
What was the plan there from Metain? Tars way too deep into the corner, and just look at it. They are not synced, they're not on the same page, and they are not ready to take on Endpoint, who are now finally figuring it out. Who knows? Maybe this is Caster's Curse at its best, and I'd love to see it. 2 goals back into it. I just want to see Twitch chat, Jay, right now chanting for the Monkeys, because they need every bit of energy they can receive.
Gonna be a tough graph, but it is possible. 2 goals to make up, 2 minutes to do it in. Look at Metain. One off the backboard, Virtuoso will control now the pinch. It's a denial from Taz in the midfield. Ixo to the backboard, sets it up for Metain, close but no cigar again. Still a shot and a recovery from Taz. Okay, business just picked up. Monkey still within one.
I don't know why Monkey's doing this. My heart might not be able to take it, Jay. After that, which was a brilliant attack, really putting pressure onto the defense. Endpoint, maybe you could argue, need to pick up the defense there. They got a little bit overconfident, but they brought it back within 1 minute 45. Monkeys are well and truly back into this. And Tars here, being able to give a helping hand. He is directing his teammate to put it out to the left so much better. They're linking up once again, and it is looking good.
But not accurate. Recovery play, still keep the pressure. Here we go! And Monkeys suddenly spring to life. 3-all on the board. We're not done yet.
Swinging from tree to tree, it seems, as the Monkeys are able to get free. 3-all up on the scoreboard. And now we well and truly have a comeback. Just have to see, can they get all the way to the end? Or is Relating Wave gonna bring his team back ahead?
A bit of distraction helped out with him. I think a bump play came through, yeah. Shoving one out, the second challenger couldn't get there. And now, suddenly, things start getting hot. 4-3, back on the board, in the lead for Endpoint. Monkeys still have a minute to try and turn this back around. Some of the contacts and challenges have been pretty good. But look at Relating Wave, look at the control he has over the ball. Bumps in from the backline, Ixo still contesting the midfield. Second challenge will now allow him to maintain a chance to strike. Sideboard bounce into no man's land, and Metenčuks will get there first. Ball to the corner, 60 seconds remaining. Taz and Virtuoso challenging for ball control, setting up Relating Wave again. Good tee off, taken away by Ixo. Third player coming in from the right-hand side, gets that shot a bit too high. And now Metain to Ixo, into the midfield. Going to try pass back to Metain, take this a bit slower. Challenge on Relating Wave goes better for the Mr. Relating Wave here. Warps that up inside that box. Ixo trying to pass out towards Taz, sets it up and dunks it down. Monkeys will not go down without a fight here.
No, this last minute and a half has just been absolutely spectacular. Link up, Ixo lingering on deep into the corner. Tars is ready to finish it off. 4-all. Last 30 seconds of madness.
They absolutely rest the world of pressure on the shoulders of all 6 players in the server, more specifically for the Monkeys, because they are elimination point. 20 seconds, they need this game, they need one more to turn it back to a survival chance. And Metain and Taz will lead that charge into the midfield. 10 seconds remaining though. That ball's going back in from Endpoint. Turned away from the corner control. Virtuoso up, dumped down, over to the corner. Ixo with control. Backboard, sets it up. Chance missed. Taken out by Virtuoso out of the midfield. Control out. He's still got a chance. Pinches it, puts it right in front of the net. But Ixo takes it away. Metenčuks keeping us high and keeping the buzzer from buzzing. But it eventually hits that floor and we're in overtime.
Following rule 1 there. It is not over until the ball hits the floor. Both teams knew that and were trying to take advantage. Metza nearly taking advantage of a 50-50, but he gets it down to the corner, back into the middle, and it is cleared to safety. Not for long though, as Virtuoso is just bumping. He's removing opponents. Metain holds strong, but not for long. Relating Wave is doing it. He's putting the ball in the net and he's sending Endpoint through to the losers finals up against top blokes.
Taz did his best on rotation, but he just couldn't get the job done. 5-4 in the final game, 3-1 for Monkeys, and while they certainly put up a better fight than we thought they would do, Bacon, what a series from these guys. Just, oh man, the talents on the other side of the field, just way too much for them to handle.
I've just got to see, is this showing on Twitch as well? I love it when this graphic breaks. Just Metza haunting Metain in front of him. It's beautiful. I love how the stats are compared as well. We need to get like a comparison sheet on top of this. But well done to Endpoint. there right in the final seconds. Jay,
Honestly,
what is it when
I
we're
feel-
casting to... Go on.
I feel like if we had met Tarass over in the Monkey scan, then certainly he'd be haunting over them just like the Dark Shadow, like I'm coming for you, or some like Dracula stuff. That would have been great. No, but seriously, like Tarass was one of the key elements for Endpoint to be able to turn that over to his team's favor, and they performed amazing. And yeah, Monkeys did okay. Monkeys did pretty good, all things considered. But what really was the thing that turned it over for Endpoint? You know?
Wait, we just talked about him. It is Metza.
Was it all Metza though? Like, you know, you
No,
can't
no,
deny that
no.
Relating
So
Wave and
the thing
Virtuoso
is-
played their roles.
Jam's going to be shooting daggers at me for explaining this now and rather not on the desk. But it just comes down to Metza and Neem's Relating Wave. Compare Relating Wave to last season, where many would have looked at that roster swap and gone, Relating Wave had just as much justice to be moved off that team. But no, Metza comes in and Relating Waves now, it seems like he feels like he is secure. And he has been popping off as well. It seems like this team is finally being able to get to their final evolution. They're still trying to work it out, don't get me wrong. They've got hot and cold streaks to them. But when they are popping off, dear God, are they good.
They really are good. Endpoint will maintain their place here in the bracket. They will move forward to take on the top blokes for the final spot in through to the main tournament. We're going to a short break to break down that series in more detail and look towards that matchup, so do not go anywhere.